Hello, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well in the second week of January. We're almost halfway there, like SpongeBob. Time always, I feel like, goes fast, but I definitely need to utilize my time more. Maybe some of you can relate. Definitely. So today I've realized, did I do? No, I did my goals last week, but I have done a lot of movie reviews, but not a lot for music. So this week and next week, next week I definitely want to do another music related thing. I have to figure out what I want to do. But there is, I'm about to sneeze. But I do want to see Megan, which I was supposed to check the theater to see what time it comes on next week, because I got a movie gift card for Christmas. But yeah, I definitely want to see Megan. It's just so funny. They used like meme culture to like such an advantage. But anyway, I definitely would talk about that, but probably not in a long video. Once I do watch it. But today I want to talk about a genre that I've been wanting to talk about for a long time. It is horrorcore, which I'm gonna tell you like some history. I did cut down my notes because it was kind of a lot, but if you go on Wikipedia, you Google it, there's a lot of information. There's a lot of quintessential albums, there's a lot of quintessential songs. It's a lot. But this time, because last time I did a Holcomb Blues, I reviewed songs, but this time I'm going to review a whole album that was like, I don't know if seminal is the right word. I don't think that's the right word, but basically it's one of the first, like one of the first like horrorcore albums, like early beginnings. So what is horrorcore? It was the origins come from the late 1981, so let's say like 1982, give or take. We'll round it up. It's also called horror hip hop, horror rap, death hip hop, or death rap. Is a subgenre of hip hop music based on horror themed and often darkly transgressive lyrical content and imagery, and its origins derived from certain hardcore hip hop and gangster rap artists such as the Geto Boys, which we're going to talk about today, which began to incorporate supernatural, occult, psychological horror themes in their lyrics. And they often exaggerate violence and supernatural, which are common in horrorcore. They also talk about other realistic things like portrayals of mental illness and drug abuse, and some horrorcore artists eschew supernatural themes, exaggerate violence in favor of more subtle and dark psychological horror imagery and lyrics. So that's like the cut down version from Wikipedia. So the characteristics of horrorcore are definitely they're dark, violent, gothic, transgressive, macabre, and/or horror influenced topics such as death, psychosis, psychological horror, mental illness, Satanism, self-harm, cannibalism, mutilation, suicide, murder, torture, drug abuse, and supernatural or occult themes. That's a lot going on. The lyrics are often inspired by horror movies and are performed over moody hardcore beats. So the origins, even though I just came back. So LA Weekly listed Jimmy Spicer's 1980 single Adventures of Superman was the first example of proto-horrorcore, to a lengthy segment in which Spicer recounts his experiences of meeting Dracula. So that's the origins of horrorcore. I want to say I have listened to some horrorcore before I listened to this album, but not a lot. I decided to switch it up. Now, like before I recorded, I was thinking I should listen to some different songs. But we're gonna get into this album, and I don't know if I'm gonna make a part 2 or not. I don't know if anybody be interested in that, or if it's just like a one-off thing. But I do want to explore it more. But I also, like, before I listened to this album, I was like nervous because I was like, am I gonna be traumatized? I'm gonna be honest though. I was not. There were some definitely disturbing imagery and disturbing lyrics. I will say, you know what I mean? but I don't think it's the worst thing I've ever heard. The most graphic thing I've ever heard. Which now I feel like, does that mean I listen to worse things? But yeah, there were definitely songs. Like, for example, they gave song examples of like Eminem's Kim, where he's like, was he with his ex-wife Kim when he? I guess he wasn't, because I think she was married to someone else, and there's imagery of him killing her and her spouse. And then there was another song. I feel like Eminem would probably be the most famous, like horrorcore type artist. There's another one, and I can't remember the name of it, but it's with his daughter, and it's like, "Hush, little baby, don't you cry," something. And then I think he also kills his ex-girlfriend in that song too. And then there was Dido, the song with Dido, Stan, where Stan kills his wife, his pregnant girlfriend, and himself. So 3 people. So, there's a bunch of different examples. There was this one song, I cannot remember the actual name of it, but it was really messed up. It was about a guy who was in a gang, and they, group sexually assaulted a woman, and one of the gang members had to take the hood off, or whatever the covering was for the woman, and it ended up being his mom. So he jumped off the building that they were on, because they were on the top of a roof for some reason, and took himself out. And then I think they killed the mom. And then the guy who was rapping said that he was there, but then when I watched interviews, he said that it wasn't a true story. He was just a cautionary tale he wanted to tell. So there are like many examples, and I'm gonna hold off on this thought. I'm gonna come back to it once I'm done reviewing the album. Hopefully I'll remember. But I reviewed the Geto Boys' Grip It on Another Level. It was released on March 12th, 1989. So, the 80s was like the beginning of the horrorcore genre. And the vibes I got were violent, aggression, and identity. Of course, the first two are like what the genre is known for. But identity, they do talk a lot about how black artists are treated versus how white artists are treated. And like how there are themes that are in both rock and roll and rap, but only rap really, of course, I don't think only rap, but I do think definitely more often people get on rap about like the topics they talk about. But let's get into it. So the first song was called Do It Like a Geo. I'm not sure what a geo is. I looked up the lyrics on Genius. I don't think they really explained what it was. But yeah, so right out of the gate, they were coming hard about wanting respect from the East Coast, and to the white-owned labels not telling them what to do. And yeah, they made comparisons about white people killing us before when we were in slavery and stuff, even though they still kill us, unfortunately. And then now we have violence in our own community, which I'm gonna make a little tangent. When you are in a community, the closest people to you are the ones that you're going to have violence with. So if you're in a fully black community, it is what it is. I don't think there's anything such as black on black crime or black on black violence. It's just the environment that you're in. It's just you're around black people. So you might get in a disagreement with some black people, and you know what I mean? Because they don't be like white on white violence, So, oh yeah, and I did say I would argue through colonization that violence everywhere got worse because, in like Africa, if they have a problem with the tribe, they go to war and everything, but it wasn't like how the Europeans were violent. Like, not like that. But I'm not going to go into that tangent too much. And I love how they talk about I love how they want, I have a typo. I love how they want their music to help people, but also not want to be undermined because they're from the South. I'm trying to remember where they were from. I want to say they're from Texas. Let me double check that. If my notes app will let me, here we go. Skirt. I want to say they were from Texas. Let me double check that. I'm gonna Google it. Ghetto Boys. Let me see. Yep, they were from Houston, Texas. Oh, let me tell you who. So the members are Willie D, um, Bushwick Bill, Scarface, and I always forget the fourth guy's name. His name starts with an R. It's like Red something. Let's look it up. Oh, okay. DJ Ready Red. Big Mike was in. I didn't know that. Am I thinking? I think I'm thinking of Killer Mike. Just kidding. But yeah, Bushwick Bill has passed away because I did look at that. I think Willie D is still alive. Yes, Willie D and Scarface are still alive. I think when I read it, I think Bushwick Bill had cancer, unfortunately. So, all right, so let's get to the second song. Oh, also, so the label they're on is called Rap-A-Lot, and Jay Prince was like the CEO. I think he's like another rapper, like producer type guy. So he was like, when I read this on Wikipedia, if this album didn't do well, he was going to shut down the label. It was going to be unplugged. But it did do well. So, of course, they did talk about it being misogynistic and very violent. And let me just tell you, when I got to the second song, I was like, oh, that's true. That's definitely true. So it's called Gangster of Love. They really went super disrespectful. Like I read that it would be misogynistic, but it really went in. Basically, women's are objects you can control and manipulate according to the song. There's also abusive language too. Just if you want to explore this album, there is like talk of abuse as well. And yeah, I never really clutch my pearls. I'm not like when I hear stuff. Of course, I've heard stuff that's disturbing. I'm like, don't need to hear that ever again. But I'm never like, but maybe because I've heard so many different like messed up things. But yeah, I was really like, wow, when I read this. And it wasn't even the worst one. Actually, the second one, let's talk about that. The third song, so the third song was actually worse than the last song as far as like how aggressive they were. So it's called Talking Loud, Ain't Saying Nothing. They really hate liars, like extremely violently angry about them. Like, and I get it. People who are, lie a lot, that is annoying. I get it. But they really were going in. They were like, you a loser, you don't got this, you don't got that, you friend. It was a lot. What was that? Yeah, there was not only, so like I said, it was worse than the last one. There was not only misogyny, there was homophobia, in the context of jail. So use your imagination with that for males jail. Don't drop the soap, and basically saying that you did things so that you could get commissary, and that they took your commissary. But yeah, I don't know if I think he said that they took. I think it was Willie D said they took his commissary, but that he did other things for something. So it was a lot. What else happened? They also roast a drug addict, so no sympathy from them, which I feel like is probably like a mainstream thing to do. Like, people aren't really very empathetic to people who are suffering from drug addiction since then, even now, so it's not super surprising for that one. So I do like Bushwick Bill's verse. He talks about not censoring himself. People talk down to rap, but they'll see violent movies because they talk about Arnold Schwarzenegger, or he talks about Arnold Schwarzenegger in his verse. Verse. His verse was kind of more general, but everybody else was real personal. Like, these examples was like really descriptive. Okay, so the fourth song, so there are 12 songs, is Read My Nikes. So Willie D, this is a solo song by him. He's talking about how good he is at fighting, and basically, when people stomp people in the face, you can see the logo of his Nikes. right? Although he does mention a gun. So I'm like, I'm not saying I'm not saying bring the gun, but I mean, you're supposed to be talking about you fighting and how you're good with your fist. You know what I mean? Yeah, because it's interesting because now all the rappers talk about like shooting each other, and he's also like it's a mixture with him. Although they do have a song specifically about shooting people, but we'll get to that. So gun is not really the focus, the guns, but that's just what he does. He does talk about it. And it reminds me of people saying no one fights anymore; they just shoot. So yeah. So yeah, that makes me feel like people can't really fight now. LOL. What else did he talk about? I'm gonna be honest, I don't really feel like even though it's gory, like how he's describing how he like beats up people. I don't know. Willie D's voice is not like intimidating me. Even though I mean I'm not gonna fight a man, but it wasn't really like intimidating me personally. I did like the imagery of leaving a Nike print on someone's face. Well, I don't know if I liked it. I mean, I thought it was unique. I don't want to say I liked it because I don't promote violence. I just want to say that. I thought it was very graphic and intense. You get the image, right? So Bushwick Bill he has a solo song next, and it's called "Size Ain't Shit." So if you don't know, Bushwick Bill was a little person. I think on Wikipedia say he was like 3'8". They like had his size on there. Don't quote me on that. I think that's what it said. But I thought it was interesting because he probably thought being a little person he had to like make up for it by being tougher and being like more aggressive because people probably would try to take advantage of you. Especially if he's from the hood, and you're different, you're definitely gonna get picked on. What did I say? So yeah, I feel like he was trying to make sure he wasn't a target of harassment and showing he could hold his own. And I'm sure as a little person, they have a lot of disadvantages. But I've never really heard of them being like extra tough to like counterbalance being taken advantage of. But could it be through Bushwick Bill's perspective? Like he doesn't want people to mess with him, and maybe he did have people trying to mess with him, so now he's trying to let them know you ain't gonna try and play me. You know what I mean? And I kind of felt sad that he had to like have this image of like, oh, I'm so tough, don't mess with me, because as a little person, people probably do, think, oh, I can steal from you, I can rob from you, I can do whatever to you, and you can't really do anything. So that did make me kind of sad. So number 6 is Seek and Destroy. It's a Scarface solo track, and it's so different from how I know him to rap like now. He sounds like every 80s rapper who is like also a DJ. I don't know if that makes sense, but it's a very specific sound, and that's what he sounds like in this song. So right here, it's not really unique as like his. So when you go lower like down, he has another solo song, and that one actually is like more unique and like sounds more of like him finding his sound. But now he just sounds like every DJ who's also a rapper. So yeah, and then number 7, I think it's technically supposed to be Willie D's song, but Scarface is on it at parts, so I'm gonna include that it's both of their song. And it's called No Sellout. And honestly, it's very positive for the most part. It's talking about how rap is criticizing that, not rock and roll, which also has violence in the violent music as well, which I talked about that earlier. And but because it's white, it's not under as much criticism, which of course I think it's true. Of course, there still has to be something offensive. So there was, I don't remember the exact wording. I was actually writing my notes, and he made an anti-Semitic comment, and I was like, okay, well, so much for the positivity, So I will, yeah. So if you don't like that, just a warning. And I feel like it's like one of those conspiracy theories where they like Jewish people own everything. I think that's what something along the lines of what he said, from what I can remember. But I do like that they don't want to sell out and make themselves like more acceptable to be like, you know, accepted by other people or be mainstream. They want to just be themselves and say whatever they want. You know, I feel like that's basically what any artist really wants. You know what I mean? Okay, so number 9. Oh, whoops. Number 8. I skipped number 8. Number 8, let a hoe be a hoe. So I'm sure you can guess what that's going to be about. Yeah. This is another Willie D solo track. When I read about this, I thought the three of them got 3 solo tracks, but it does not look like it. Looks like Scarface has 2, and Willie D has like 3, and then Bushwick Bill only has 1. I don't know what that's about. I thought they evened it out for 3 for 3, but it doesn't seem like it. At least not from when I read the lyrics, you know, and when I looked at the song credits, you know. Okay, so is very violently misogynistic, talking about hoes. I don't know what else to say about it. It's pretty straightforward, and then, you know, women are just hoes, objects used to use and discard. And it's once again telling men what to do. Like in, what was that one? It was the second song, and I can't think of it. No, it was the third song. Talking loud, ain't saying nothing. Like telling, you know, man what to do. Like, you need to be with this girl, you need to be with that girl, leave that girl alone. But basically, that's what happens in Let a Hoe Be a Hoe. It's like, why don't you just let people live their lives? And hoes need love too. Okay? Just because she's a hoe, she might not be your hoe. Why are you worried about it? But, you know. Yeah, I don't understand why you gotta diss hoes. LOL. You've probably been with a bunch of hoes, so. And then I think there also is physical violence, and I want to say something about drugging, which of course is not good. So yeah. Okay, so number 9. Now we're going to number 9. It's called Scarface, so it is Scarface's song. So this one is more of his style as far as his voice and subject matter. It's more dark and violent than his other solo song, and it seems like him finding his style more. And I watched the Smile video in the middle of like listening to the album, and I was like, this album, and I was like, yeah, it's very different. And then of course when I was looking up Scarface, I saw some other like titles that looked like they were going to be darker than his first solo track on here. But yeah, Scarface, I guess it was definitely his introduction. And then in the Smile video, he looks like this tall, mysterious man. He's wearing this hat that looks kind of spooky, and this black suit, you know. So it's like I could see him becoming like that, like in the Smile video, where he looks real creepy. Even though Smile is not like his creepiest song, it's actually a very positive song, honestly. But you know, still the image, his voice, you know, is getting towards that. So number 10 is another Scarface song, and it's called "Life in the Fast Lane." So 2 Scarface songs back to back. So he got 3, and I think Billy D got 3. So what happened with Bushwick Bill? You know what? I think when I was reading on this album, I think Jay Prince had kicked out 2 of the people and had replaced them with Scarface and Bushwick Bill. So maybe that's why he didn't get more solo tracks. But Scarface is a very great storyteller, even down to the most graphic of details. Which I do want to say is this song is very graphic. I think he talks about boiling his enemy's blood. I think it's like at least one shootout with a police officer, with some citizens. It's a lot going on in there. Basically, he's talking about being a drug dealer and, you know, what he's got to do. And you can, even though it's graphic, you can definitely picture what he's talking about. I don't know if that's a good thing if you don't really like images like that, but it is what it is. So this track is, I could see him becoming, oh, wait. So yeah, he's definitely more in his element these last 2 tracks. Okay, so number 11. Like I said, they have a whole song about guns. It's called Trigger Happy Nigga. So definitely, yeah. Um, so Willie D has a song about fighting, even though he talks about guns, but now he's on a song with just about guns. So I find that interesting. So I guess he has many fighting methods, even though shooting isn't really fighting. The song is all about their crimes, how they use guns to eliminate obstacles in their way, literally. Um, and I found it weird in Bushwick Bill's verse that the woman wanted to have sex with him and he's holding her hostage, but I feel like it's probably like some weird fantasy that men have. So he's like threatening to rape her, basically, sexually assault her. And he's like, if I had time, I would. And she's like, oh, well, go ahead. No, there is no situation where that would actually happen. I just want to be alive. I don't want you to kill me. I'm in a hostage situation. Take all the money you want. Take whatever you want. But I don't want that. But yeah, I thought that was weird. Yeah, I don't think I would be horny in this situation at all. Unless you just have some really deep-seated issues that you need to see a therapist about. Yeah. So the last song, number 12, is Mind of a Lunatic. And this was the most graphic and disturbing song on the album. I could see how with this track it was the start of horrorcore. And this definitely fits the genre. Most of all the songs, it definitely made me feel like in the minds of like very disturbed people. From what I can remember, I think Bushwick Bill actually did sexually assault someone in this song. And I don't remember what the other two did. Oh, Scarface went crazy or something. I don't know if he was self-harming, so I just want to warn about that. But then eventually he does end up in a mental health facility. I don't know if it's still called a psych ward, but you know, when you have mental health issues, he went to the ward, basically. I don't remember what Willie D did. I don't know. I guess I don't pay attention to him, but I remember those two. But my overall opinion on it was like I could see it's like, to me, it was more of a mixture of gangster rap and horrorcore. And maybe because like you know, they're kind of over, because they're both in the rap genre. But you know, like if you listen to like Snoop Dogg or like Ice Cube or like NWA, they it's like, you know, they also have very graphic lyrics, but I guess you wouldn't call them horrorcore per se. But it's more of gangster rap, but it's still like they're overlapping at points, I guess. But I wouldn't agree that it's simply a horrorcore album, even though it does say it's like kind of the beginning, so it's not like a full, very overly graphic project. But it does say in sources that it's an early addition to the genre. And like I said, I've heard more disturbing songs that fit the horrorcore genre better than this album. But I still think it was like a good introduction to the genre. The tracks I liked the most were Do It Like a Geo, No Sellout, and Life in the Fast Lane. I do think their album, the next album with I feel like their most famous song is My Mind Is Playing Tricks on Me. I feel like that album probably fits the genre a lot more. Especially from what I can remember, because like I can remember the words from like My Mind Is Playing Tricks on Me. Like Bushwick Bill's verse, I don't remember really these, but I remember Scarface's verse where he's talking about seeing dead bodies and burned bodies, and Bushwick Bill talking about shooting, you know, accidentally getting shot in the eye. So I feel like that one would probably fit the genre more. I enjoyed parts of it that weren't just misogynistic and overly violent, but that's just my personal thing. I would give it a 6 out of 10. I felt like the first two songs were my favorites that I mentioned. So like Do It Like a Geo and No Sellout were like mostly uplifting and made you think. So I like that. But you know, overall the album was okay. Now I'm like, do I want to give it a 6 out of 10? I was gonna give it a 5 out of 10. I'll give it a 5 out of 10 actually, because of like all the misogynistic things are just like, okay, it was just a lot going on. So I wrote a poem which I'm like, after I talk about how violently misogynistic and like the graphic nature wasn't bad, but the misogyny was kind of like, of course I don't condone beating up people or killing people or sexually assaulting people or any of that. So, but yeah, I decided to write a poem called a Tyburn. I never wrote one before. It's a 6-line poem consisting of 2 syllables, 2 syllables, 2 syllables, and then 9 syllables and 9 syllables. Which I just thought about this. I did not count the syllables. But anyway, I really didn't. So I probably broke this form, but it's okay. The first 4 lines rhyme and are all descriptive words. The last 2 lines rhyme and incorporate the first, second, third, and fourth lines as the 5th through 8th syllables. Yeah, I definitely did not follow this 100%, but I have a poem. So here we go. It's called Stolen Soul. It's inspired by no sellout. Inspiring, stealing, co-opting, borrowing. We are inspiring our youth while they're stealing. They're co-opting and borrowing and never crediting the right source. So yeah, white people want to do everything we do, but never credit us. Oh, it's not AAVE, it's Gen Z slang. Okay. Why are people talking about how their grandmas, who are like my age or like younger, saying their grandmas are saying period and all this stuff? Yeah, because they like to steal. But I'm not going to get into it. But yeah, have you listened to the Geto Boys Grip It on Another Level? Did you like it? Did you hate it? What do you think? If you've listened to it, or if you listen to any Geto Boys or any kind of horrorcore like songs or anything, is it your favorite? Is it not your favorite? Let me know if you want. I'm gonna put the poem form, even though I did not really follow it, but I tried. I at least made an attempt, y'all. But yeah, let me know what you think. Would you explore genre or would you not? I also want to make more genre videos because I like them. Just exploring a genre and exploring like albums or songs in the genre. I feel like it would be really interesting. But yeah, I hope you all are doing well this January and you keep going well, and I will see you all next week.